Everyone,
Good morning.
welcome to the Finance Committee. The first order of business is to approve last month's committee meeting minutes, made by Supervisor Strau, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, moving on. Anybody who would like to come to the podium to address anything before Finance? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our action agenda. Terry notified me that he was going to be here, but I don't know if something came up, so we'll just we'll move him on to possibly next month. There was nothing urgent for this matter. It was just a way to save us some extra money, but we will definitely address it, and we will definitely save some money. Next, we have Kara Lias from Fitzgerald Morris Baker and Firth. She is going to speak to us regarding a bond issue for the Warren Washington County Civic Development Corporation project.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kara Lias. I am from Fitzgerald Morris Baker Firth. We represent the Warren Washington Civic Development Corporation. And and I apologize for the delay in getting you this proposed resolution, but we received it yesterday from, go to the podium.
Please, Kara. Thank you.
There might be one. Sorry.
This one.
As many of you may know, the county, in conjunction with Washington County, established the Warren and Washington Civic Development Corporation several years ago as a result of some changes in the state legislature where previously IDAs could issue tax-exempt bonds for civic projects. The state legislature sunset that authorization under the law, and thus most counties in the state have created a CDC, which enables the CDC to issue tax-exempt bonds for civic development projects. In the past, most recently, the counties approved the ACC dormitory project, and that was funded or was financed through the CDC. So today, I'm here on behalf of the CDC. We've received an application from the Silver Bay Association for Christian Conference and Training, otherwise more commonly known as the YMCA, in the town of Hague. They are undertaking a construction project to build a new conference center, lodge, dining hall building. It'll be known as the William Boyd Center. It'll be approximately 40,000 square feet, and it's located at their current existing facility in the town of Hague. They have advised us that this project is necessary for them to maintain their position. They're not competitive since they're not for profit, but their position with similar situated entities, and to provide more people an opportunity to come to the area to use their facility. The CDC has met. We have scheduled a public hearing for next Wednesday at 11 a.m., which is June 7th, and that'll be at the town hall in the town of Hague. But I can tell you a little bit more about the project. Total project cost is estimated at a little over $14 million. Through their fundraising efforts and other donations, they have about half of that. So what they're seeking is they're looking to engage in tax-exempt financing for the balance estimated cost of $7 million. They've secured financing with Glens Falls National Bank. The term will be 25 years. The interest rate, tax exempt, if it's approved, will be 3.52% for 10 years, and then there will be some variable adjustments after that. What we are required to do is receive the approval of both counties in order to issue the bonds for this particular project. So the resolution that is presented, again, I apologize for the delay in getting it to you, is the authorization of Warren County to allow the CDC to issue bonds for this particular project. I don't know if you have questions.
Kara, quick question.
Sure.
Did Washington County already approve this, or do you still have to go there?
I still have to go to their meeting. Their meeting is next week.
Okay. Supervisor Stroud?
Well, this has to go before the Board of Supervisors for
Correct.
the approval. And
Correct.
all we're supposed to do is move this forward if we are so inclined.
Correct. Yes. In the past, I've been asked to come to the Finance Committee meeting, so discussion, and then it definitely has to go before the full board for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Stroud, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. Any more discussion? Chairman Conover?
Tax exempt bonds, does that also provide exemption from sales tax?
They already will receive some tax exemptions because of their not-for-profit status, but they would, but for anything that anything that is not covered, they will receive a tax exemption. The real properties, there's no pilot because they're already tax exempt. But they have advised us that most of the items that they're already going to be sales tax exempt. There will be a mortgage tax exemption.
So because they're nonprofits, that makes them basically tax exempt for everything? Is that basically what we're saying? I live in the town of Hague, just so you know. I'm very well with the project that's going on. I guess one of our concerns is basically they operate in competition with all the other businesses in town, but they don't have to pay taxes like the rest of the businesses do. They don't have to pay they don't have to pay tax on 1 mile of lakefront that they have. So I guess I'm a little concerned about, you know, how this actually happens, that they're borrowing money, but there's like a tax exempt part of it with borrowing the money.
They're able to, because they're not for, so your question is twofold. They are tax exempt from real property and
Right.
sales tax, separate and distinct from anything that the CDC authorizes. That is by law because of their classification.
Right.
So with respect to the tax exempt financing, we can also issue tax exempt, the IDA, not the CDC, the IDA could issue tax exempt financing for other construction projects. So any of the income earned on the borrowed piece is tax exempt. That is really what the tax exempt financing portion of that is. It's either able to secure a lower interest rate. I don't know if that answers your question.
No,
but-
it doesn't.
I guess well, I almost want to follow Supervisor Frazier's lead. I feel like you're not comfortable with this, and I feel like you are looking to get some tax dollars into your community where they've got a mile of
A mile of lakefront, exactly, that no taxes get
That's a
paid.
lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot, there's no doubt about it.
I can't support this. I just can't support this. I can't support this in committee.
Supervisor
I
Molina.
want to say the same thing. It's just strange to me if they're tax exempt and they do everything, they rent rooms, we don't even get sales tax or bed tax in the rooms. They got a lot of property in the town. Now we're going to lend them money, tax free, interest free. I mean, it stumps me. I'm sorry. If they're a nonprofit and they got half that money, maybe they should raise the other half. But to come to, because that's going to take out of the portion of money that's set aside to lend other businesses.
Well, it's not, the CDC doesn't have any money to lend. So we're not lending the money. The Glen Falls National Bank is the lender.
Yeah, but you're suggesting that they, you're putting a thought to them to do it. I know you're not lending them physical money. but
Right.
You're, I won't call it a bearer of the money if they don't pay, but you're still supporting that, and that's tough for me to...
Supervisor Stroud.
But I think
Yes.
other people should have other choice, when it comes to the full board.
This proposal before us is for a tax exempt bond,
Correct,
period.
correct.
all the other issues that have been brought up are separate issues, and they might be legitimate issues. But this is just to get approval for a tax exempt bond.
Right. We have no control over the
So
real
all
property
the other
tax
issues might be
or-
legitimate issues, and you can deal with them in other ways, but let's just keep clear what this is and is not.
Supervisor Seaver?
Thank you, Supervisor Sokol. Kara, this is the first time I'm seeing this, right? So I guess at first blush, I didn't think a whole lot about it, just hearing, reading it briefly while we were here this morning, but hearing Supervisor Frazier's concerns, it is in her town. Is there an and I appreciate you being here, just, providing us with additional information. Do you think we'd have an opportunity for them to be here and talk with us about why they're seeking it and hear a
Oh,
little bit more?
absolutely. They've been very engaged in the process all along. I'm certain that they would send a representative to your meeting. Timing, we have plenty of time, so this
Okay.
isn't anything where, I'm begging you to do this today or anything like that. They're looking for a closing in September, but we have plenty of time, so I can certainly arrange for them to attend your next committee meeting if that's something you would.
Right. I just think given the fact I want to take enough time to look at it, I'm sure everyone else
No, I
does as well and
completely
not rush it. If we're not in a time crunch, is there any way that perhaps we could revisit this next month and have them be here?
Let me just see what Supervisor Simpson had to say first, but yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I am a member of the IDA and CDC, and I was there for the presentations, and they had a very good presentation when they spoke to us about, providing for a stable, they have to charge for some of their services, and they have to continue on, and to do that, they need to expand. So these other issues, I do understand these issues. I have not-for-profits in Oregon, and I understand that. But I just want to put that out there. They did have a really good presentation on how this is going to, build their business, their nonprofit, and actually it supports the community. There's a lot of jobs. And I thought, was there 80 jobs? I can't remember the number.
I can get,
But at the presentation when they
Okay, yeah,
talked.
we'll hear more, Kara, that's okay. Chairman,
It's very clear to me that, that supervisors need to be, have a better understanding of the project. It's a huge investment in our region that's getting made here. It's an award-winning project. It's a fully LID, low impact development project, right on Lake George. It's got an awful lot going for it, but it's clear to me that, the IDA can issue what's called tax exempt or taxable bonds. They have the opportunity to go into formulas that some supervisors may not be fully familiar with, and I think that having them make a presentation, and maybe have ask Kathy at Bartholomew to come as well to talk to us as well. That's either an economic development in a committee or might be a good platform for this. And then that way supervisors that have questions can come to that meeting and answer questions. I think that would be advisable at this point. So I agree with Supervisor Stroud and some of the other issues that they may be legitimate are not really connected with the manner in which this improvement is being financed. And that's what we're talking about here. The character of the bonds, whether they're taxable or tax exempt. And that's how the market is. It has been achieved. The lower interest rate, naturally, if it's a tax exempt bond, it's a lower interest rate. The person's achieving the benefit from that's not paying income taxes on it. So it's all part of a financing, a benefit that we provide through our IDA to certain kinds of projects. I think I'm saying, Matt, am I saying it
Yeah,
correctly?
correctly.
I think I'm saying it correctly. But it seems like there's quite a few questions here, and I would characterize it as interest in the project, and it's a wonderful project, and I think having a presentation before one of our committees would be good.
I can certainly arrange for the members from the YMCA to come to the next meeting. I have no problem asking Mr. Bartholomew to attend, but he's not familiar with this project because it's before the Warren Washington CDC. I'm happy to invite bond counsel who prepared the resolution.
That might be a good idea.
our office doesn't serve as bond counsel. We're local counsel to the CDC, so I'm happy to invite them to the meeting too. They can answer any of the technical questions concerning the financing piece. Yeah, they'll be able to.
The financing tool itself, in other words, what it is, and what does it mean, what does tax exempt bond mean?
I'm sure, I can certainly arrange that.
No, I think that's a great idea.
Next month.
And just, you have Amanda's email, I'm
Yep,
sure, we can
absolutely.
coordinate that. But
Okay.
I think it's a good issue raised by both Supervisor Seaver and Stroud, because, you know, we do need to, this was just addressed before us, just today.
Yes.
But I understand Supervisor Stroud's concern as well. It is just for the bond, but I think supervisors may feel more comfortable after next month's meeting,
Absolutely, not a
especially our
problem.
administrative Garrity, possibly.
I'm okay with tabling.
Table it till next, okay. Supervisors, Frazier seconded that, I think?
Simpson.
Simpson, okay, are you okay with tabling?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Tabling this to next month's meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Sarah.
Thanks for your
Okay,
time today.
have a good weekend. Okay, we have a request for the transfer of funds for committee approval, and that is request form number 10.
I make a motion, which
Oh.
one?
It's form number 10, for 16,000, right? Oh, wait, no, this
Oh,
is,
you doing 4A?
4A
Doing
and
4A, I'm sorry.
Put 4A and 4B together,
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
and I'll second.
we did have, I did speak to the county treasurer because the question came up, it was only an $800 figure. I asked him if he just had it in his budget that he could take it out. Oh, speaking for the devil. We just hit item A. Yeah, that's
Is this the $800 for the check stub program? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, excuse me. We've had several inquiries, and I think, Kevin, if you can answer that, I think there was some talk in the negotiations about doing this also, putting
Yeah,
on the
our-
hourly rate.
We have a lot of information on the pay stubs, but we don't have the hourly rates for the employees, and they want the hourly rate to show up, so I asked the treasurer's office to look into it. It's $800. It's a minor charge to satisfy numerous employees, and I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's the right thing. We should do it. It was done originally years ago, and there was a request to put the year-to-date figures on there, so that's why that was dropped probably 10 or 15 years ago, so now we're going to have both on there. Basically, and the $800 is to reprogram the pay stub print thing.
Okay, so before we get a motion or a second on that,
You do
we
already.
jumped over 3.
Yeah, I wonder.
Can we please get a motion and a second for items 3 in your packet? Those are all transfers.
Oh, the fund approval?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Did we get a motion in the second for 4?
Yeah.
We can group 4A and B together, I'm assuming,
Yeah, I
correct?
did it. I made a motion, John seconded.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Stroh. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right. Item C, request to either authorize the Treasurer's Office to write off uncollected Medicaid receivables carried over on December 31st, 2015 from Westmount, or find someone to take over the rebilling and renew the billing software contract. So, it is my understanding that we can still collect even though we do write these off?
Yeah, well, the bottom line here is because these we're carrying stuff on the books that are pre-2015, and after we looked into this, I don't think we're going to be able to collect that stuff because it's too old. So our auditors have asked us to take this off of our books, to write it off. Now, even if we write it off and we find some way to get that money, we can still collect the money. Believe me, I'm not going to turn down a check, okay? We get the money, we will get it processed through. But this just cleans up my books and gets the auditors off our back about carrying this stuff for so many years.
Okay. Motion made by Supervisor
I have a question.
Simpson. Yep. Seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Supervisor Simpson?
Who do we have that's working on trying to collect these uncollected?
I'm not sure. I know we talked to Mike McCarthy about something, but I don't think it related to this.
I think we had Clement. Go ahead.
This is There probably is some confusion in some of your minds about this, because there are two different kinds of collectibles we've been talking about here. One is private pay, and we are chasing that down, and we have a proposal from a law firm to chase that down. That's where people, either themselves or a responsible party, owe us money from Westmount. We're chasing that down. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is money that could have been billed to Medicaid but was not. And the problem here is that these are mostly 2013 claims. We have spoken in my office to at least a dozen people inside Warren County, outside Warren County, referrals from Mike McCarthy, referrals from centers, to see who was interested in doing this medical record processing and submitting the billings to Medicaid. We don't believe we can get a waiver for it because they were more than 2 years old, a lot of them, when you folks started in office in this term, and we don't believe that we're going to be able to find anybody, because we haven't yet, who can process these for billing to Medicaid. That's what these are. These are amounts that have not been billed to Medicaid yet, and we need someone who can find the records, which no one can seem to do yet, and they can then process them for payment.
So my personal opinion, and Brian and I have talked about this in the past, and I don't think we're going to get any of that money. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't keep trying, okay? But what I'm asking for here will not interfere with that. In other words, if we can find some of that money somehow, we can still accept it, even though we've taken it off the books.
Chairman Kenoff? Yep.
How are we carrying it on? Are we carrying it as a receivable to our fund balance, or are we carrying it we closed out those years, so how are we carrying it as a receivable?
We're carrying it as a receivable in the reserve fund that was set up for Westmount for the legacy costs.
For the legacy costs.
Right.
Okay, so if we fail to achieve those receivables, then the legacy costs are down less than that amount.
Correct.
So Michael, this is a total of $550,000 roughly?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Michael? I just do have one quick thing I'd like to say. The reason I wasn't here was because we sold the bonds this morning for the court expansion and NSTEM. Had a fantastic sale. Had 5 bidders, sold all the bonds, which usually doesn't happen, and we got 2.76% interest rate on them.
For how many years, Mike?
20 years.
Nice.
276.
So that's,
what was the total amount?
14,700,000. I can't remember off the top of my head.
14,700,000.
Yeah, but that's the combination of that's $8.5 million for the court expansion and $5 million something for the NSTEM.
Thanks. Thank you, Mike. Good job.
No, I'm very happy with how that turned out.
No. Glad we excused you for a half an hour.
One more thing, Chairman. I would say, given that what we have to do relative to those receivables, that if our Medicaid settlement on the cogen turns out as we hope it will, out of that, some part of that is a receivable to the legacy cost account.
All of it is.
All of it is. No, 700,000.
Well, I'm sorry, you're right. We have designated the $700,000 receivable. If it's more than that.
But I'm saying, given the situation with the receivables, at some point we might want to consider some part of that, increasing that, make sure that legacy account holds up over time, in terms of properly financed over time to handle the legacy. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
In other words, rather than 700 fall into that legacy cost account, maybe we need 800, 850 out of that final Medicaid settlement to fall to that account, and then the balance can fall to our fund balance.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's a decision that the board, finance and the board will have to make. If we receive more than that $700,000 and some receivable, then what do you do with that remaining portion that we receive? Do you want to put it into that receivable? Do you want to put it into the general fund? Do you want to, whatever? That's a decision the board will have to make. I mean, I will make a recommendation on that, but at that point in time when we get that money, then we'll have to make the decision.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to item number 5, referral from the County Facilities Committee. Under Airport, we have a request for transfer of funds in the amount of from the contingency account for culvert and pipe repairs to airport taxiway. Pictures aren't that great in the packet, but if you were here for the county facilities, these pipelines were actually moving forward. We can hopefully preserve some of them, and I think Supervisor Stroud, you knew how that was done? Do I recall you mentioning that there was a certain way that they go in and they put stuff through the pipe to preserve it? So-
Well, yeah, the question was asked, but not by me, if the culvert pipe could be lined, because that's what you can do with some culvert pipes to maintain them and allow them to continue working as they should. In this case, this particular culvert was too far gone for that lining
Right.
process and needed to be replaced,
Yep.
and needed to do so
Yeah.
soon.
Okay, so we need a motion to get that on the floor, made by Supervisor Frazier, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, item 6, referral from the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee. Under Sheriff was a request to amend the county budget in the amount of $173, or $173,608 to reflect the receipt of funding from the Public Safety Awareness Point Grant. Motion made by Supervisor Merlino, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. Any discussion? Supervisor Seaver?
I'm prepared to vote on this today in committee. I'm not sure how I feel about it for the full board yet. I'm waiting for some feedback from different members in our community. So I just want,
Okay.
oftentimes I hear, well, you voted for it in committee and now you're
Right,
changing your
right.
mind. I just want to put it on the record
That's fine, that's fine.
I still am waiting on some information.
Okay, so all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Under Office of Emergency Services, referral from the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee for funding for an amount up to $20,000 to pay for I Am Responding software. Motion made by Supervisor Strauss, second by Supervisor Simpson. Supervisor Seaver?
My apologies, my comments were meant for this 6B, not 6A.
I was going to question you on the grant. Didn't know what the problem was, but...
I was ahead of the game, sorry.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on that. Oh, wait, are we gonna need yeah, we need a source, right? It's 20,000, right? Oh, it's up to 20,000. So I'm assuming, I mean, we've got $142,940 left in the contingency. So we need an exact amount. Brian, would you have an exact? I know it says up to 20,000, but...
When they recalculated it after the last meeting that we had, the amount came over 20,000. I talked to the gentleman and said, well, really, we only have 20,000. So it was recalculated, and it's 19,700 something. I'll give you the exact number. I don't have it in front of me. But it will be under $20,000, which helps us with not having to go to a formal bid process through the purchasing agent. So that's where we're at this point. It will not be over $20,000.
Supervisor Shaw?
And just for public information, this was an outgrowth of the EMS committee in trying to do something that would help remediate some of the EMS issues we're having in our county. One of the things identified was upgrading our software, and that might go a long way to helping things out. Other things will probably be needed, but this was identified clearly as something that needed to be done.
That's true, Supervisor Stroud. I'll just throw out a quick aside. Fire in Glens Falls yesterday on First Street, the city of Glens Falls requested recall from 2 of their crews. Chief Schrammel last week, after the result of the discussion we had on this, reached out to I Am Responding and signed up for a free 90-day free trial. And since Thursday of last week, they had put it in completely. His guys had been given the information. He had inputted the information. And while the chief was at the scene yesterday, the dispatcher called him and notified him by looking at the screen how many firefighters he had responding to the station, how many were coming to the scene. this is what that system is for, so that the guys in the radio room know what's going on, and if they have information that they can give to whoever's in charge, the squad captain, the fire chief, whatever. He was very pleased yesterday with the way that went, and so I told him I would bring that forward. But and again, like I say, that's not what we did. He just did that as a free trial. So I think it's a good system. I think it will help.
Okay. We do have a motion in a second. We just need to clarify that it is coming out of contingency, and it is for the amount of $19,700.
I'm sorry?
$19,700, did you say?
I may be off by a few dollars, so I
Okay.
don't know that I want to quote you that exactly. I get down to the office, I can tell you.
Okay.
Not to exceed the 20,000.
Okay, is that fine? You made the motion, John? And Matt, you made the second? Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, request for a transfer of funds in the amount of $2,200 from the contingency account to pay for insurance invoice from Rosen Kiernan for inland marine insurance on the 2004 Spartan mobile communication vehicle, which was not anticipated.
I would like to remove that. With that money, it's not necessary.
Okay.
I will explain. Acting Administrator Garrity raised the question that with our insurance company, there is a clause in there for some vehicles, if they're over 10 years old, they will only insure the actual cash value, not the replacement cost. There was a substantial difference between the replacement cost of a vehicle like that and what it's actually worth. And so we made those adjustments. Also, we found that Inland Marine, who is the company that insures the actual equipment, the electronics, they had added that to the cost of the vehicle, plus we were paying for it on the Inland Marine equipment line. So we were actually paying for insurance twice on that equipment. So the bottom line is we were able to make those changes, and the invoice will be changed down to $225 rather than the $2,200. And we'll take that out of our budget. We do not need any additional funds for that.
Excellent.
Good job. Thanks, Rob.
Okay?
Ryan, how long does it take to attach a hose to a fire hydrant?
Depends on what hydrant it is and what type of hydrant, but
It happened to be watching Shark Tank, okay? And they've got this device. It's just like a clamp. You hook it on and then it clamps. 1 second. Now, if it's a matter of 30 seconds or 45 seconds, would that make a difference in... I mean, I know seconds are very valuable, but...
right now we use storage fittings that are quarter turn.
Oh, okay, so there's no...
So when we put them on, it's a quarter turn.
And that's it?
Yeah, the old days of
Yeah,
of
turns,
this.
yeah.
Hopefully we're getting away from that. Everybody that I know of, the building codes departments are now requiring on the building as well for your connection for your standpipe. They're also putting storage fittings on there. So, in answer to your question, 30, 40 seconds if you have to screw it on. The biggest problem we have is getting the cap off. Depending on how old it is, how long it's been sitting there, because since the last time somebody took the cap off. We are very fortunate in Queensbury, the water department keeps very good track of that. But they have to be tight enough so the kids can't fool with them.
Right.
But you have to be able to get them off when there's a fire.
I just figured you all wanted to know. Supervisor Simpson?
We can go out and try it if you like.
I've had a question on 6C on the insurance there. So, it's not insured for what it would cost to replace it.
Correct.
It's insured for whatever the current value is. Now, any idea what the current value of that building?
I had to give them a current value in order for them to calculate this number. So they originally had this vehicle calculated at replacement cost, including all the equipment, at $700,000, which is a valid number if we wanted to buy a brand new one. The actual cash value minus the equipment, because that's already being covered by Inland Marine, that's $136,000. The actual cash value we set at $75,000.
Okay, so it is insured.
We're still covering the chassis, yes.
Well,
yeah, but it's still a 2004
Right.
chassis, so you can't insure it for a large amount of money, but $75,000 I think is a real good number, and we're still covering all the equipment,
Okay.
and obviously we save substantial dollars.
Yeah, that answers that question. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to item 7, referral from the Economic Growth and Development Committee. Under Planning was a request to increase the capital project H292, FWHC Making the Connection, in the amount of $305,751.61 to reflect local match in-kind contributions. Need a motion to get that on the floor, please. Made by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor... it's like pulling teeth today. Supervisor Stroud. This is our match, correct?
Yeah, it's for in-kind services, it's just to level everything.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 8, referral from the Health, Human, and Social Services Committee. Under Employment and Training is a request to amend the county budget the amount of $99,704 to reflect the receipt of state TANF funding for the summer youth program.
I'll make it.
I'll
Motion
second
made
it.
by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Supervisor Frazier, but won't this give 7 youths jobs?
I believe that's what
5
Chris
to
Yeah, that's a
7?
little extra, a little
Yeah.
more money
Yeah.
than last year.
Yeah, good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 9, referral from the Occupancy Tax Coordination Committee. Request to appropriate $15,000 from Budget Code 881, the Reserve Occupancy Tax, to Budget Code 6417, 480 Tourism Special Events, to cover the additional funding awarded to the Adirondack Balloon Festival. Motion made by Supervisor Strauss, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 10, referral from the Park Operations and Management Committee. Request from Mayor Blaze to authorize refund to Law Enforcement Officers Weekend Committee the $500 deposit submitted for an event that did not take place at the Festival Commons.
I'll move it.
Made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Referrals from the Public Works Committee. DPW. A is a request for authorization to establish the following new county road projects. County Route 11, Horkin Avenue. County Route 15, East Shore Road. County Route 10, Scroon River Road.
I'll move it.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Stroud. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I believe we can group B and C together. That is a request to appropriate funds in the amount of $577,254.80 from the General Fund Unappropriated Surplus to Budget Code A9950, Transfers Capital Projects Interfund Transfer. And then C would be request to amend the county budget to appropriate funds provided from the unappropriated surplus to the certain road projects.
I'll move it for discussion.
Okay? Both B and C?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Frazier.
Can I ask, why is this the A code, Joanne? Why isn't it a D code, the DM? Is it A?
Unappropriated surplus is in the A fund.
It's always in A?
General fund.
Okay, it's not highway.
Right.
Okay.
And I would like to also add, this is probably a good time for us as the county to move forward with this, because we are in a healthier position than we have been in the past. So if we are going to attack some of these roads, I think this year is a great time. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Referrals from the Support Services Committee, the County Auditor. Request for transfer of funds in the amount of $810. Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item B, from Information Technology, request to appropriate funds in the amount of $25,000 from the Computer Reserve Fund, Budget Code 895, for the...
Move it.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 13, referral from the Traffic Safety Board, request to appropriate $1,074 from Budget Code A889, Stop DWI Reserve to the budget code A3315, Stop DWI Program Retirement.
that.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, second by Supervisor Merlino. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Item 14, requests or items to be discussed by the county administrator.
These next transfers will be to cover the cost of the contract negotiations, CSAA, contract negotiations.
Okay. Motion made by Supervisor
I'll make it.
Garrity, second by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Do you want to continue, or do you want me to read them?
Which one? I did A,
Oh, you
B,
did?
C.
Oh, you did all the... okay.
A, B, C, D.
Okay, good, good, good. Finance Committee action is required on the following items approved by the Personnel and Higher Education Committee. Those were items 3A and 3B. Motion made by Supervisor
Should be C.
Supervisor Sieber. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We have no pending items this month. Anything else from the committee or the public? None. Motion made, or motion to adjourn. Motion made by Supervisor Sieber, second by Supervisor Strau. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, I do have those sheets, though, if anybody would like the maps for the, tomorrow.